The headlines: Narendra Modi seems to be heading for a two-thirds majority and will better his 2007 tally. The first phase post-poll projections confirm Modi's hold over Saurashtra, South Gujarat.
I think Narendra Modi and party, you cannot distinguish between the two. So, but many would say that Modi is BJP, BJP is Narendra Modi.
Modi is BJP, BJP is Modi. The euphoria already at the BJP headquarters in Ahmedabad. The Keshubhai Patel factor fails to dent Modi's vote share to any significant extent. CNN-IBN finds that Keshubhai's Gujarat Parivartan party has hurt the Congress vote share as much as it has the BJP's. And a virtual dead heat in Himachal. Independents and rebels could hold the key. Congress's Veerbhadra leads Dhumal in the chief ministerial stakes. Welcome back. That CNN-IBN survey of phase 1 showing in these assembly elections, the BJP is losing about 3% of the votes but will still get around 45%. Congress is losing 5% and will get around 33% vote. This is in the first phase. Remember, once the results of our post-poll results of Central and North Gujarat come, those figures will get revised. The Gujarat Parivartan party eating into both the parties, getting about 12%. Others are losing 4%, will get 10% of the vote. The CNN-IBN projection now is showing that out of 87 seats for phase 1, BJP emerging as a clear winner, winning 53 to 63 seats. Congress will be a far second with 19 to 27 seats. Others expected to win 3 to 9 seats. Okay, it appears then that a Modi hat-trick is certain. What does it mean for national politics? Still with our panel and also joining us now, Abhishek Manu Singhvi along with Dinesh Devang Nanavati of the BJP. Abhishek Manu Singhvi of the Congress is joining us. Mr. Singhvi, I want to come to the big question. If Modi wins this hat-trick, what does it say for the Congress party? Your heir apparent Rahul Gandhi only went to Gujarat on the last day of the first phase of the campaign. Did you all really give up and write off Gujarat too early?
Let me start, Rajdeep, by clarifying that if it's the impression that it's all over bar the shouting and the celebration,
yes.
I think the history has enough examples to know that you channels stopped doing polls because they were grievously wrong, proved grievously wrong, not once but many times. So please remember the lessons of history.
Yes.
Secondly, I think all these polls show great variance from what we feel from the ground, especially in Saurashtra, in parts of North Gujarat, in rural Gujarat. Thirdly, obviously, if what you're saying is true, and it's a big if, everybody has to respect the electoral verdict. And I'm now speaking on an assumption which I don't believe in. I certainly believe that we'll do very well, if not win. Irrespective of that, Rajdeep, I think
yes.
if there is one force which Modi fears and somewhere perhaps respects, is the Congress, because it has stood up always, consistently all over India, as the only party which has stood up in a big way to Modi.
Right.
And if we do as badly as you predict that we will do, which I doubt very much, we will again put our heads together and try to find a way out. But I don't think any of the issues which you've raised can be brushed under the carpet, irrespective of the
But would you concede?
Sir, would you fundamental issues.
No,
Dr. Singhvi, one second. The fundamental issues include the issue that there is crony capitalism in that state, there is doling out of state largesse. These tall claims of development, when you go down to the nitty-gritty, have huge fissures. Urban development indicators are very bad, and so on and so forth.
Dr. Singhvi, all that may be true, but the fact is the people of Gujarat, if our poll is right, seem to be placing their trust in Narendra Modi and not in the Congress party at the moment. Isn't that a matter of serious concern that in state election after state election, in West Bengal it's Mamata Banerjee, Bihar it's Nitish Kumar, in UP it's Akhilesh Yadav, in none of these states, now in Gujarat Modi, none of these states seem to be seeing the Congress as the alternative. If there is so much of disenchantment, the Congress should be capitalizing on it.
These states whose names you have taken are states where we have not been there for the last 20 odd years.
So these states contribute more than 200 Lok Sabha seats.
But as I said, no, I don't think 3 states contribute 200 Lok Sabha seats. UP, of course, is a very important state, and we have shown improvement there.
Yes.
But I think the real point, Rajdeep, is that you, in a democracy, and I'm answering these questions obviously on a massive assumption about the correctness of your figures.
Yes.
You fight elections you raise issues to the best of ability, and ultimately in a democracy, which distinguishes us from the rest of the neighborhood, is that you respect the democratic verdict and get back to work for the next election.
Okay,
I think as simple as that. But I believe that what you have said for Gujarat this time, don't start generalizing and extrapolating for Uttar Pradesh and for Bihar.
Okay.
We have shown improvement and we'll show more improvement there.
Okay. Like, I've just calculated those 4 states, Gujarat, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. They come to 188 Lok Sabha seats. So we'll have a dispute on that. But Devang Nanavati, do you want to respond to what? No,
Abhishek, I have a couple.
Abhishek, just a minute. Devang, Abhishek is saying, and some of our panelists are saying that there is discontent. That yes, there is a support for Narendra Modi, but there is also discontent, which our poll is showing. Is the government in Gujarat conscious that not all of Gujarat is vibrant, that there are darker parts in your state as well?
Rajdeep, don't paint a dark picture. See it as that there is some work left to do. Obviously, we are not claiming 182 seats. I don't think any of the polls are claiming 182 seats. So obviously there is a part of the public which says that we don't want BJP or Mr. Modi. Right. So I mean, in a democracy, you look at a 2/3 majority in a first past post election. Secondly, let me remind Dr. Singhvi that Congress has been out of power in Gujarat for 20 years since 1990. And BJP has been in power since 1995. Yes. So it's equivalent to those other states. Congress has had no presence for the past 20 years.
Yes.
Thirdly, a point was made that rural Gujarat has voted very heavily, so let's wait. I am sorry, that's not a correct figure. The voting percentage across the board, including urban centers, has been 70% and above. And don't discount, along with all your caste and other equations, class equations, the fact that you have a huge first time young population voting which rises above caste politics, appreciates Mr. Modi's stand, the BJP stand of rising about caste politics and talking about governance and developmental issues. Right. And the question of this corruption allegations being made, the Supreme Court itself has said that the land allotment policy of the Gujarat government is the best in the country. Other states should follow it. The only 3-time re-electee Chief Minister in India, Mrs. Sheila Dikshit, is on record praising Gujarat's development. She has to retract it because of high command pressure. Devang,
Devang, you made your point, but Abhishek Manu Singh will respond, because one of the views being expressed today, I am getting some SMSs, the reason for Narendra Modi's confidence this evening is he believes a large number of younger Gujaratis have come out to vote, and the higher voter turnout he believes is pro-incumbency now. I would have thought the Congress would be reaching out to the younger Gujarati. Why is it that the Congress is unable to provide an alternative to new Gujarat? Is the Congress representing the Answer regime, the older Gujarat? Are you out of touch with newer, younger Gujarat? Or do you believe Gujarat is an exceptional state? Just like you said, UP was an exception, Bihar is an exception, West Bengal is an exception.
No. First of all, you didn't hear my answer when I said that I was in fact clubbing Gujarat with UP, Bihar and the other states you mentioned, saying that we have not been in power for 20 years there.
Yes.
And therefore it can take an effort. So I was actually saying the very same thing which Devang Nanavati said. Number 2, well, if you lose an election as your polls predict, which I have already refuted, obviously, the victor takes all. He can have all kinds of theories. The young are against you, this is against you, that is against you. Generally, people believe that all of the parties in the Indian democratic system are hankering after the fact that we have the biggest connectivity to the youth.
Yes.
We have a youth icon. We have the largest number of.
But your youth icon is being beaten by Modi. So how long is this?
Position.
Sir, your youth icon, was defeated by Akhilesh Yadav in UP, sir. Your youth icon was defeated by Nitish Kumar in Bihar. Your youth icon was defeated. But that is the truth, sir.
You're only repeating the same states. Rajdeep, a youth icon doesn't have a magic button to press, and nobody except those who want to have a majority flourish use that as a magic button, that he will go to UP and in Bihar and press a magic button. But the point I'm making is that a lot of parties believe that with Rahul Gandhi catching the imagination of the youth in several elections, and you forget the several victories and good innings he's had, you tend to feel envious of the fact that this is not there in other political parties.
Okay.
Now, in Gujarat, the result may go this way or that way, but that doesn't mean that it's a negation of the great dynamism and magnetism which Rahul Gandhi has shown in so many endeavors and initiatives.
I take your point, sir. Sir, I
narrow it down
take
to
your
one
point.
person.
The fact is the voter
And one
doesn't seem to
election.
be responding to this dynamism, but I don't want to get into that debate beyond the point. He is your heir apparent.
Perhaps if you're right, yes.
Okay, but let's look at the bigger picture. I want final comments from you. Meghnad Desai, there was a point that Swapan made. It's all very well to say that this Modi victory, if it's a third hat-trick, will transform national politics. He'll come to Delhi. As Swapan himself has admitted, in Lok Sabha elections, the BJP has not done as well in Vidhan Sabha. Do you believe that Narendra Modi wins state elections? Will he find it much more difficult once he goes beyond Gujarat? Will that realization also come in that a state election is very different to a general election?
I think anybody would, but BJP right now does not have a better alternative than Narendra Modi if it is going to fight national elections.
You believe they don't have a better alternative? Arun Jaitley, Sushma Swaraj, you don't see them as better alternatives?
No.
You don't? Okay. So, Swapan Dasgupta, the sense that
I will lose a lot of friends.
you lose a lot of friends, but do you believe therefore that now if this hat-trick of victories takes place, that it is inevitable that Modi moves to Delhi, there can be no stopping him? Or do you believe there's a section of the BJP and the Sangh Parivar which is still wary of Narendra Modi because of his individualistic style?
There may be a section which is wary of Narendra Modi, and I don't doubt it.
Yes.
But I think what is really the most powerful weapon in the hands of Narendra Modi is the pressure from below.
Exactly.
And I think all over, throughout the BJP, any part of India you go to, there is only one thing. When will Modi ji? That if Modi takes over the reins. Now, I don't believe that necessarily would ensure an automatic victory in a general election. Because there are lots of obstacles there. You've got to fight a very long, arduous battle. But I agree with Meghnad that with Narendra Modi, you're going to find a little more purposefulness. You're going to have an extra spring in your step, and you will probably have the only alternative figure who can also be inspirational to a lot of people.
Manini Chatterjee, is it a done deal now? If
No,
this
I
is a
think
third victory,
actually the
you mentioned Shivraj Singh Chauhan to win a third victory next year.
Forget what will happen at the 2014 elections. I think the real challenge the BJP will face is in the next 1 month. I mean, we've all forgotten that actually December 17th was the day when Mr. Gadkari's term ends.
Yes.
But now they've got some little constitutional thing to postpone it by 2 weeks, and then they will decide. The fact that they waited for the Gujarat elections to come to reschedule the election process in the BJP is, I think, very significant. And now I agree with both Lord Desai and Chopon that there is a huge pressure from the BJP and BJP-minded middle class, not just in Gujarat but in many other parts of India, who want a Modi-like figure.
BJP-minded middle class.
Yeah, but listen, that's why the BJP's dilemma is, if they decide to go with Modi, they decide to abandon NDA, and it is going to be BJP going it alone. Because I do not see a JDU being part of a pre-poll alliance led by Modi.
Okay.
So, they have to take a call now.
They've got to take that tough step. But Sachidanand Murthy, you heard Abhishek Manu Singhvi saying, we have the youth icon. Rahul Gandhi will inspire people. Clearly, it's not happened in Gujarat. It didn't happen in Uttar Pradesh. It didn't happen in Bihar. It didn't happen in West Bengal. Sorry about banging on about these 4 states, but these are the states where the Congress has been doing depressingly badly. Do you believe it could change once it's a general election with Rahul as the prime ministerial choice versus Modi, and in that sense Gujarat is different?
No, Rajdeep, it is not just personality. At the national level, the BJP succeeded because both a program and personality. Vajpayee was a personality and Hindutva was a program. It worked at the 3-4 elections, it worked.
Yes.
But now Modi is a personality, all right. But what is his program?
And you believe that will be tested at a national level? So the jury is still out on that.
Program. He cannot go with the old program of the BJP.
So the jury is still out on that one.
Jury is still out.
Yogendra Yadav, therefore, if these figures, as we are saying, are right,
if your poll is right,
if my poll is right, Yogendra has got the way out. He's become a politician.
How liberating
now.
It is.
But you're happier as a result. All the tension is on us.
Yeah.
But Yogendra, if this poll is right, does it suggest that Gujarat is exceptional because the BJP has been in power winning from 1995, something that we sometimes tend to forget? Or does it mean that a particular brand of politics that Narendra Modi represents is getting increasingly legitimized in larger sections of this country?
I don't think that follows. Look, there is some respect in which Modi is special to Gujarat. Something which happens in Gujarat is very special. But there are larger indications of this poll. If this poll is right, and I believe it would be right.
Yes.
That's my sense. The larger indications are that the political establishment, national political establishment is shrinking. It's easy to see that in the case of Congress. Congress actually was very united in this case in Gujarat. Congress actually strategically did not make any blunders. And if they end up with this, then you know what's going to happen in Madhya Pradesh, you know what's going to happen in Chhattisgarh. You can begin to see 2014. On the part of the BJP, if Mr. Modi does so well, and he comes to national politics, as he will, simply because BJP has no other alternative, and here is someone who comes there, at the same time, he does not, while he enthuses BJP's loyal supporters who are going to vote for BJP anyway, is he a figure who's going to get them new voters, new communities, new regions? And this is what might actually cement BJP's limitations. So the end product might well be that the national political establishment represented by Congress and BJP both might shrink. We are beginning to look at a scenario where Congress plus BJP would be less than 273 in 2012.
Or you could see Modi being so characteristically different actually break through some of these pre-existing limitations as he's done and woo additional constituencies.
We haven't seen signs of
because
that
we
yet.
have, of course you haven't seen signs of that because Modi has been playing on the battleground of Gujarat. When you see
Swapan,
there are
believe that
various cards.
you're saying that Swapan, you believe that Modi's avatar outside Gujarat will be very different to the avatar we've seen there.
There will be continuity,
There'll be continuity, but there'll be change as well.
Yes.
I'm going to. This is a fascinating debate. How do you change? How does Narendra Modi transform himself to become more appealing or inclusive to newer classes beyond Gujarat? That's really going to be his challenge.
Absolutely.
And that's what we'll look forward to when we return in a moment from now. Sagrika Ghosh carries forward this debate with our special panel, looking specifically at those big questions. How does Narendra Modi broaden his appeal to a wider India? It appears at the moment that Gujarat is a done deal, but can he win beyond Gujarat is going to be a question that will haunt us in the run-up to 2014 general elections. For now, thank you all very much to all my panelists. Thank you Abhishek Manu Singhvi and Devang Nanavati. Appreciate your joining us too. Let's take a break at this point. When we return, plenty more as we continue our coverage of the battle for the states.